Welcome back everyone to me explaining why Spark Staff is better than White Dipper, this thing. But before I wanted to make this video, something crazy just happened today. And that was Will Smith smacking Chris Rock on the Oscars. If you guys haven't seen it, which I highly doubt it because that's what people are just talking about right now, is Will Smith, a famous dude. He's made a lot of movies, TV shows. Prince of Bel-Air was my childhood, and that's how I first knew him from. And a lot of movies, you know, which were really good. Like, he's a good actor. But basically, this dude just smacked a comedian, and his name is Chris Rock. He's a pretty, like I don't know. I don't think he's as known as like Kevin Hart or something, but I'm pretty sure he's like out there. I haven't watched any of his stuff. He just got smacked in the face, bro, by telling a joke about Will Smith's bald wife. And it was pretty mild. I don't know. That was crazy. I don't want to talk about this too much, but my stance on this is what he did was very wrong. And this will just have a domino effect on like pretty much all comedians that want to do stand-up. Anybody that wants to tell a joke, basically. This, holy shit, people are just so sensitive. Yeah, the reason why I think this will have like a bad effect on other comedians now is that people watching stand-up or watching comedians talk might do the same thing that Will Smith just did. I'm kind of scared for comedians now. People might just get smacked in the face for just telling a joke. Listen, but if you actually think that was justified, like, you're pretty stupid. Like, you're stupid. Like, Chris Rock's just doing his job, bro. His job is to tell jokes. Saw so many like Twitter comments saying like that's what you get for disrespecting my family or like people I love. Like, shut the fuck up. He wasn't disrespecting shit. It was a joke, bro. It was a joke. All right, it's not that deep. He didn't actually like just make fun of her bald, like your wife's bald. It wasn't like that. It was a joke. Like, who the fuck makes bald jokes now? Like, I find it funny. It was funny what he said, his joke, but it was mild as fuck. Like, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like too, like, even if it was, but I'm saying even if it was, it doesn't justify his actions. You shouldn't smack someone just for like saying something. Like, and that's my take on it. But poorly handled. If you want to, you know, fight about it, go handle it after the fucking Oscars. I can't believe he did that right on stage, walked up and smacked this man. But I didn't even know the Oscars was going on in the first place because like, who the fuck watches the Oscars? But yeah, that shit happened. That was crazy. I don't know if this was like it was a skit, it was all fake, but nothing justifies slapping someone in the face because of a joke. All right, so if someone like, and even if it was like actual disrespect, you could just walk away. Actually, like what does their fucking opinion of your bald wife have to do with you? Like, I don't get it, bro. But yeah, it was weird. But yeah, let's get on with the video. So basically, this porcelain dipper, this white dipper as I like to call it, is a very controversial weapon, or a very controversial thing that you do in Bee Swarm for some reason. I can tell you right now for sure, Spark Staff is way better than White Dipper. I don't want to do math on if Spark Staff is better than Petal Wand. I believe it is better. I mean, in general, I think it is better. So I'm not gonna really do math on that. So these main three are the most controversial one, and basically the reason why it is because people have very different opinions on or which is the best option, which is the most cost-effective one, which will get you the most pollen per second. So yeah, let's go through it. There's so far I can only find one video about like actually comparing the two, but his video is a horrible comparison, and people just jump on it being like the real reason or the only reason that it's the best to go for. But I'm gonna be honest. The best way to actually know if something is better than something is by getting actual numbers. All right, actual numbers will help you, especially getting the average of, you know, specific weapons. So this doesn't apply to only Bee Swarm. You could pretty much do this anywhere. Like, the math isn't even that difficult. It's like, it's right in front of you. It's in the wiki. It's even in the game. It tells you. Like, it says it collects 7 pollen from 4 lines of 4 patches every 4 seconds. I'm not gonna do the math on golden rake. It's kind of not necessary. We'll just do the math on spark staff and white dipper. But yeah, all the information is like here. Like I said, it collects from 3 flowers that yield the most pollen. It'll zap the tallest pollen. So if there's 3 tall pollens near you, it'll zap that. And if they're not tall, it'll zap that anyway, if that's the only tallest pollen near you. So basically, it even shows you if you don't play Beast Swarm, like I said, these empty parts are the range it hits, so it can hit about here. So if you're in the middle right here, right in the middle, that's you. So that's how you know there's no more flowers in that bitch. You took it all. So this will take the whole flower. Now let's talk about what White Dipper does. It collects 3 pollen from 49 surrounding patches in 0.7 seconds. We can go to pollen right here. Pollen, it'll show you all the pollen types. It'll show you all the pollen stuff. So without multipliers, this is how we actually get real numbers. It says it collects 3 pollen from a flower, and a single flower. We'll do this test on singles and stars for it to actually use the ability. So since it collects 3, that's just 3 times 10, that's 30, which is the amount equal to the single. So you have to hit about the single 10 times for you to actually take the whole flower. We can do the math real quick. I'll just show you. We can see if the math is correct by looking at what it says here. And like, it does the math for you already. It says the average base pollen collection is 245 pollen per second. Pretty good, I guess, but Sparkstaff has a higher one, I think. No, it says 207. I wonder how they got that number. But we'll fact check to see if these numbers are actually like correct. Sparkstaff seems pretty low, but I get that they're using the average. They are also doing the math on white flowers, by the way, because they put this weapon may never reach its full potential, because they're actually not doing the math on its highest potential. So we're gonna do the math on that right now, which is what they should have done in this wiki. We'll do it for them. Let's look. Let's just check if their math is correct. It says 315 is its highest. This gets more from white flowers, so your average, if you ever go to a different field that has less white flowers, will get less, obviously. And it says if you're not in a white field, it collects 245. 207 to 245, it seems like this weapon is the better option, right? And how could you not want it? It's slightly better. But yeah, let's do the math real quick and fact check it. So it collects 3 pollen with 49 surrounding patches for 0.7 seconds. Okay, so let's do the math. First, we have to multiply this, obviously. 3 times 45, because it takes 3 pollen from 45. So it's not only 1 flower, it takes 45 flowers is what they're saying. So 49 times 3, we get this huge number right here, and it collects it every 0.7. That's not very a good number. 0.7. I hate that they do that in this game. Like 0.7 is so stupid. Just rounded by 1, but I think it's because that's how long it takes to swing a weapon, or like that's how long it takes for a weapon to be able to be used again. So it's every 0.7 seconds. 1, but it's 0.7. But yeah, you get the idea. So we'll do the math. This is what it equals to, but we're going to divide it by 7. Now the reason why I'm dividing this by 7 is because I want to get 0.1. So this is how much it actually gives me every 0.1 seconds. Now we just have to multiply this by 10, and then we get 210. This is how much it actually collects per second. But I don't know why it says 245. This is kind of wrong, but it does says 210 here. It gets 315 from white flowers and 210 from red and blue. You're right, I'm not counting the white flowers. It gets 50% more from white, so we can just plus 50% right here and we get 315. So the math isn't wrong in the wiki. That's how you pretty much just calculate the math on this stuff. But let's do Sparkstaff. And you know, this isn't even hard math. You know, this isn't like something like your math teachers would say, like, you need to learn this because your life requires it. No, it's just basic fucking algebra. All right, I'm not doing anything like too crazy here. Like no, it's elementary stuff. It's not even algebra, bro. It's just fucking, it's just addition, you know, division. I don't know, but let's do the math on this one to see if it's correct. So it takes 3 nearby of the fullest flowers, and the fullest flower, so it takes 30. And the reason why I said 30 is because the pollen that we're doing math on is 30, so it hits 3 times, but it takes the whole pollen, so it's not 3 pollen. It takes, because I'm using the whole pollen, and this zaps the whole pollen, so I take 30, but it zaps 3 times, so 30 times 3, so we get 90. All right, so this is how much we pretty much collect. Oh, oops. 30 times 3, we get 90. This is how much we collect, but this is every 0.5 seconds. All right, so this is much quicker. So we can just multiply this by 2 to get a whole second. We get 180. But it says 207 per pollen. That's because there's another percentage increase. It says it increases it by 15% while you zap. So you get more pollen by 15%. So plus 15%, and we get 207 per second. Good. So the math is, the math is aligning here. It's correct. It's not wrong. The wiki's spot on. Now let's do the math on how you actually find out if a weapon is better than another weapon. This is how we do that. Since it's kind of hard to test this, like, the reason why his test is flawed is because there's too many stuff going on. Like, there's buffs he has, and yes, you could say it doesn't apply to, him, because he's like just standing still and he's using those buffs as well and those weapons, but it doesn't count because it's like it's harder to get an actual representation of what he has. Those things were just included in his results, which is not how you actually check if a weapon is better. The only way to actually check if a weapon is better is by actually comparing its numbers by its given numbers that the game put, without any, anything involved. Like no backpack, no accessories, no boosts, basically. No other stuff that helps other tools collect more and other tools collect less. Some might help, some might not. So the way we actually get the real numbers of like something, and I'm actually teaching math here, crazy, but you can tell if something is better by getting its average. Okay, that's how we get stuff. That's how we know like if a weapon is better or not. We get the average. And how do we get the average of something? Well, we get the lowest point of a weapon. So we get the lowest number that a weapon can have, like amount of pollen it can ever collect. We get that number, and then we get the highest potential pollen it can get. Both of these are potential, the lowest potential and the highest potential. Okay, but no, I'm getting the lowest highest potential. Like basically I'm getting the lowest, but still at the best possible way. Like the best, like I'm not gonna calculate if I'm getting from no pollen, okay? Because that's like, I'm gonna collect if I'm zapping the lowest pollen possible versus the highest possible. Because that's what mostly you'll see in game. Mostly you're not be hitting singles. Like you're not, in this game, there's yes, there's 5 different types of flowers, but you're not gonna be seeing only single, all right? Unless you're like really in the early game. But when you're in the mid game, you'll start to see double, triple, and large. And what I'm doing the math on is getting the whole pollen from single and the whole pollen from star. So we'll see which is better compared both of them. So I'm gonna put like a text here, right here, to show you that this is White Dipper and this is Spark Staff, so you know which I'm calculating from. So this seems to be the lowest potential, these numbers, so we can just use them. I'll also be giving him the benefit of the doubt that White Dipper, like I'll give him the 50% boost. Okay, let's say the situation is just only white flowers. All right, it's only white flowers, so we're only collecting from white flowers. That includes Spark Staff. All right, so we're gonna use the 315 and the 207. All right, so yeah, let's do that. But first, let's get the highest potential amount of flowers you can get. So how we do the math on that is pretty simple. We get the pollen per second. He already does the math for us right here. Spark Staff and Porcelain Dipper don't have the same abilities. And yeah, I forgot to also do the math. So if someone else comments that, forgot to include its ability. This does have an ability, as you can see. It's right here, a small little picture. It just shows like after 10 swings, you'll get this one. You'll get this huge burst of... So yeah, you get this huge like thing coming from the sky, and that takes about every 10 swings it collects lots of pollen from 29 flowers. So it's not very specific, like it doesn't really tell you, so I can't really get the real number of this thing. But looking at this thing right here that he's on right now, it looks like he's zapped half of the field. So for argument's sake, let's just say it takes about 30. I'm pretty sure, since he's in a field that has, I think this is double, but it does look like a double field or a triple field, and he's in mountaintop. I'm pretty sure there's some triple flowers in mountaintop. Since there's like, he's taking from triples, let's just say he can zap a whole single with that ability, so he takes about 30 pollen. I'll just assume he takes about 30 from a triple, so he takes half of a triple pollen, and we can multiply that by 3 as well. But so we can do the math on that by just adding 30 every 10 swings. So it takes about 7 seconds for you to swing, right? Because it's 10 swings, 7 seconds. Yeah. So if he takes, in a regular number right here is 315, so it'd be 315 plus, no we can't add that, it's every 7 seconds, so we have to divide this as well. So it's just 30 divided by 7. Hang on. So yeah, it'll take 30. So let's do the math on this as well and just add it with it. I don't know why they didn't add that, but let's just do it right now. And we're assuming we're collecting from white fields again, so we don't need to boost, I don't think. Well, we'll boost the numbers together. Yeah, we'll boost the numbers together. So 3 times 49. 207, divide this by 7, so we get 0.7, and then times it by 10. The average is 210. We get 210. But with the boost we get 315. We'll add the boost later and just assume the boost with the swing. So this will be included in the boost. You know, I'll even give it the boost. It collects about 30 from 29 flowers. That's 29. Boom. It collects it collects 870. It seems like a big number. Not bad, right? So let's divide this by 7, so we get the whole 7, so it's 124. I'll just round it to 124. So you get 124 plus 210, right? And then plus 30%. So we get 501, which much bigger of an average, right? I guess. I'm pretty sure like the boost is included, so I'll just add them together. So we get 501. So 501, not bad, right? Not bad, not too bad. This is the lowest number, by the way. This is like assuming I get the, like, I'm not collecting from an empty field. We're even including like if it collects the whole single pollen. So this is like lowest potential for the single pollen. Okay, so it's 501. Let's just keep that in mind. 501. Now let's do that for Spark Staff 2. But I think it's self-explanatory, so we could just do 30 times 3, like we said, and then times 2 to get every second, plus 15%, we get 207. Yeah, self-explanatory. So right now, the lowest potential, I'm also giving it the highest potential at the lowest point. So we're collecting like single flowers all the time. So right now, White Dipper collects the most, obviously. If we're collecting from only white fields, obviously the number is a bit more skewed towards White Dipper right now because of I'm giving it the 50% boost because we're in a white field plus the ability, and giving it the 50% included in that ability. So right now the numbers are in favor of him. So 501. Now let's continue to get its highest potential from a star pollen. So how we do that, how we do the math on that is like the same thing. We can only get 124. We'll always add only 124. It's not, the math isn't so different. It's just 507. It's just 501, I think, right? Was that 501? Yeah, it's 501. I forgot, but 501, right? We could just do the same thing since it collects pollen at a fixed number. Since it says it collects 3 pollen, it's fixed. Compared to Spark Staff, which has no specific pollen. It collects the whole pollen. So we can just do the math with the same numbers since it has a fixed pollen number. So you can see it collects 3 pollen. So we can just use the same number again for this one. So if we're collecting a star, all we have to do is just pretty much use the multiplier, which is 5. So we just have to times this by 5 and we get 2.505. All right, 2.505. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. for a highest number, that's pretty good. So we can just do the average right now by adding plus 501, the lowest point with the highest point. We get 306 divided by 2. The average pollen it can get every second is this. Not bad, you know, not bad. Pretty good, pretty good. With boost, it's even crazier. So that's good, right? So let's do spark staff right now. So we know we got 207, but we can't use the same formula like we did for white dipper, because of how spark staff collects all pollen and porcelain dipper only collects 3 pollen, but from forest 9 surrounding patches. But the problem with that, and why, like I said, why white dipper is worse, is because spark staff doesn't give a fuck about what flower it collects. And we were only doing the math, and this was always, and it even has something saying that it can never reach its complete potential. But I'm comparing the values by its complete potential. And I also did the math on the complete potential of white dipper, and the highest number it gives is this, as we can see. Since it collects all pollen, we can no longer do the math from single. We're doing the math from star. So the number is different now, and we can't use 30 times 30 as 30 pollen times 3 because it zaps 3 times. We have to use star now. So, and it zaps the whole pollen, so it'll zap the whole star. So we have to times 90 times 3, and then times this by 2 again. We get this every second. Well, it's way lower, and that's because multiply this by 5 yet. So just oh no, but I'm doing this, I'm multiplying by 5 last. So I forgot to also include that it's plus 15% because it gives a boost, so we get 621. Okay, and then times 5 we get 3.1. Okay, now we add this by 207, which was the lowest point, which is also its highest point, its highest lowest point, and we add those numbers together, divided by 2. And you could say the math is wrong, but this is always how I've been comparing values every time I play a game. This is just how you get the actual damage compared between the two. And this is its highest point, by the way, and we're all collecting from white flowers. This number from white dipper will be way lower if you're farming from red, if you're farming on red and blue. So if we farm this from red and blue, we don't get the 50%, so we can just minus 50%, I think. I don't know if that'll work. But no, I'm not sure if I'll get, no, I don't think so. Wait, no, 1.124 plus 210. So this is the lowest it'll get, so plus 3, so plus 334 if we're collecting from just red and blue flowers now. So we get 334. So now we need to do the math on 334 times 5. This is the because of the pollen boost that it shows it gives. So boom, we get this number plus 334, which is the lowest point, and just divide that by 2. Number is even lower. The average is even less. It's even worse. It's not even comparable if you used white dipper specifically on white fields. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't change the fact that these numbers are at your face so much bigger of a difference between the two. And the argument is usually being about cost effectiveness. And this one costs 150 mil. Spark staff costs only 60 mil. Someone is spending more than, I don't know, you know, like someone's spending more for something that doesn't even perform as good as spark staff. Doesn't matter if this has a special ability every 10 swings. This collects the whole pollen, all right? The whole pollen. And I did the math on its lowest potential with its highest potential and divide that by 2 to get the average. And as you can see from these averages, they're very, very different compared between each other. Like I said, spark staff doesn't give a fuck about it doesn't care about it being like white, red, or blue flowers. It collects the whole flower. It's not racist. It doesn't give a fuck. Why would the game developer make something so much more expensive compared to spark staff, but not even like compare as actual like numbers side by side? Like, it wouldn't even like compare. I'm not sure why, but obviously in every game like ever made, usually if something is more expensive, it's usually more better, right? But this does not seem to be the case, and usually it's not. Like it's usually people that care about like the game this much to actually compare numbers like this. If you're going to the wiki anyway, like it usually means you care enough to like see how much collects what. And based on these numbers that I've shown you, people just usually look at its highest collecting. So it collects this much with the boost from white flowers, and it's very high compared to spark staff, which is only 207, but it doesn't tell you that it collects only from single flowers. Literally the single one, the first field in the game, bro. That's what it's like doing the math on. If you did the math on star flowers, this number would be very, very different, and it would actually show you. But you can't really do that. You can't really use star flowers in the first place, because star flowers are like, you'll only see them if there's like an end game player with you. So I can understand why they're getting like single flowers, but you can do the math on triple, double. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, bro, because I'm pretty sure spark staff always comes out on top in terms of average and highest potential. And like I said, you're not always going to be farming on single fields, so why even do the math on that? But like I said, we're calculating from single and star, getting the average, and spark staff still comes out on top. I'm not sure if spark staff will beat petal wand, but I'm pretty sure it will. So I'm not even gonna compare them, since petal wand, this tool, petal wand costs 1.5 billion. So I don't know, if something costs 1.5 billion compared to 60 bill, I think the billion is better. So I'm not even gonna like do the math on petal wand, but I'm pretty sure petal wand is better anyway. And if you're striving for cost effectiveness in the first place, it is more cost effective to only spend 60 mil than spending 20 mil and then spending fucking 150 mil. You're spending 170 mil. Do I have to do the math on that to show you? Just add this number with how much golden ray costs together and you get 170 mil. You spend 170 mil instead of just 60. Like, you're just, I don't know, it's just, and you're buying, you can say it's more cost effective, but it's not. It's not. You're spending this much compared to if you just skipped both of them and bought spark staff, which you only spent 60. This is after I finished recording this talking me. I'm playing Bee Swarm right now. I literally have petal wand already, and I grinded to get petal wand, and I always switched between the two to actually see if I could tell a difference, and the difference is never there. I couldn't tell, bro. I can't tell. It's impossible to tell. That's why you can't do tests like that where this man just stands still, or you can't test with your bees, or even without your bees you can't, because you still have stuff that you're wearing that affects the experiment. You can't do that. That's why you need fixed numbers when you're doing like comparing values with one another. You cannot compare values when there's like different variables affecting the experiment. You just can't. The point of most experiments, or scientific experiments, I would think, like, I'm no scientist or like an experiment doer, but I would think that if you're doing an experiment based on something, you would try to only get values that are based on that something and not get other stuff affecting your values, you know, like not being skewed, because that's how statistics and graphs start to get a bit skewed, start to get a bit wrong, and the research starts to get fucking bad, and that's because numbers aren't usually being compared with their own numbers. Okay, it needs to be their own numbers only. They're only their numbers, nothing else is involved. Okay, so doing the math based on what the game says as how much it collects every second with boosts and stuff, that you get the actual number. Like, it doesn't say if you put on the fucking big ass helmet you get a 50 boost, and if that guy's wearing that helmet, now it's skewed on both tests. So like, we just want to get these numbers, is what I'm saying. Only these numbers. And if we get only these numbers and compare these tools with their own numbers, only their own numbers, we get the actual answer to something. That's how you compare values. That's how you compare tools. That's how you just compare anything that has a value. We use values. It would be very hard for me to give you evidence that spark staff is better than White Dipper if there was no numbers to begin with. If it didn't say, like, if it didn't say 3 pollen, it would be much harder for me to actually tell you like how much it really collects, because if I get less numbers involved in my stuff, it's much harder to get like an actual representation. And you could say this entire video is flawed in the first place because I don't know how much it actually collects with its ability. Because it just says it collects lots of pollen, and I'm assuming it collects half of a triple field. So it takes the whole single field, takes a bit of the most of the double pollen field, and it takes half of the triple field. I'm just assuming it takes half. Maybe it takes less, maybe it takes more. I don't fucking know. And that's being very generous, because in this picture right now, he even swings once, and it doesn't even look like he took more than 80%. So it's not the whole triple field, or it's not maybe the whole double. I'm not sure, but it's not the whole field. Okay, it's not the whole field. Like, it doesn't zap the whole field. It just says lots of pollen. Okay, so it's pretty, I don't know, it's pretty vague about that. But as you can see from these numbers, you can tell obviously which is better than which. And it's going over the most of Bee Swarm's community's heads. It's just so obvious. It's right in front of you that which is obviously better. And in terms of being cost effective, and in terms of average pollen collection, Spark Staff comes out on top all the time. There's no in between. This weapon stands out against White Dipper. And if it stands out against White Dipper, it stands out against Golden Rake. That's a little math lesson for you. But yeah, that's a little math bomb I just dropped. Like, and I really felt like making this video because there was just so many people just saying the wrong shit, telling me Spark Staff is bad, telling me Spark Staff is useless with no fucking good reason as to why it's useless. Their reasoning is being more cost effective, which makes no fucking sense to my head, and saying it collects more pollen and this is the right way to go. It's not. I just did the math on the average, and there's no accessories affecting my values, and adding both those numbers, dividing by 2, that's how you get the average of these two values. But if you want to be more like get an actual more average, is getting how much all these can collect in all fields, right? And just divide by 5 after adding all 5 of these numbers that you get. I don't want to do that right now, but like I feel like comparing the lowest and the highest is more than enough. I don't want to collect the fucking first, the second, third, the fourth, the fifth to get an actual average, but obviously I've still like not even doing that math yet, I can still obviously tell you that Spark Staff is higher. It's just the way it is, bro. It just is. But yeah, I'm done talking about this. White Dipper is dog shit. It's the actual useless one. I don't know why you're using it in the first place. And people make fun of people using this weapon. Like I said in my like, if you didn't watch my last video, I showed you that so many Discord messages of just people saying Spark Staff is trash, is fucking wrong, and people are making fun of you for using something that is better. Imagine, bro. Imagine. I don't know who did the math and why just the whole community just agrees on why this is, but you're wrong. You're fucking wrong, and you're stupid. And I can't believe it. I just can't believe it, bro. I can't. It just baffles me to this day, but hopefully this video opens your third eye, and this applies to not just Bee Swarm if you're watching this. Like, I'm literally doing math, bro, to show you. And this is applicable to any game with values. If there's values in a game, you can get the average of something by getting its lowest and highest, dividing it, get the average. Or just by playing pretty much a game. Let's say I was playing Elden Ring, which I wish, but I was poor. Let's say I was playing Elden Ring, and I did 10 damage to an NPC. Now, and there was every swing, right? I would just, like, time myself for 10 minutes, divide that by 10, which now I get the average a minute. Now I can see how much damage I deal, or how much gold I get every 10, or now I can see how much gold I get every minute based on what I'm hitting every second with how much damage I'm dealing a second. Like, it's so easy to do math on just like that. You could do math on like that, but usually videos like that are skewed But you can do math like that, I said, and it's okay. And that's what the guy was going for. But if you really want to get actual numbers, you need to actually define and find out these numbers. Just like coding, bro. It's just like coding. The only way you get to compare actual values is by actually using those values, and only those values. Nothing interfering with these values. No fucking multipliers, no nothing. Okay, no boost, no nothing. But yeah, that's some knowledge dropped on you, and I'm done. And also, another argument I have for you, for people watching that play Bee Swarm, is that Golden Rake just sucks and is not something you should buy. And I can vouch for this because I bought all 3 of them just to test them, and Golden Rake was by far the worst out of all of the fucking things I've tried. And that's because of how you have to play with the Golden Rake. What people don't tell you once you buy Golden Rake is that there's an ability, there's a rake, right, that rakes the whole field, but it'll only rake in the direction you're facing. In this game, you have to keep running around. And you also have to keep collecting stuff on the field, like coins, tokens, whatever, honey, whatever it may be. So that affects the way you look. So the only way to actually like effectively use the Golden Rake is by using shift lock and like changing the direction where you can face, and that's literally impossible, and I don't want to play like that. I don't want to have to play where I can just I have to use shift lock and try that hard to get flowers. Fuck that. With like your grind with Golden Rake to fucking White Dipper will be so painful because you have to shift lock to actually get the highest potential in using your Golden Rake ability. But yeah, that's horrible. That literally just changes your playstyle the moment you buy this weapon. Compared to Spark Staff, which zaps anything on sight, you don't have to face anywhere. You can be on the field anywhere and you'll still fucking go. I can face any direction and I'll get the whole flower. Can you? Probably not. But yeah, that's it for today's video. I'm done talking about this. My head still hurts to this day why people think about this shit. But I'm done. No, I'm done talking about it. You're retarded, and fucking do math if you want to prove me wrong. Show me the math. But if you show me some fucking YouTuber's video about him just standing in a fucking field, a red and blue field, comparing these flowers, like, then his testing only applies if you're AFKing and standing in the middle of the field, which mostly in this game you won't be. You'll be moving around collecting shit. That's how you get more flowers in the first place. That's how you get more honey in the first place. More bees, etc. You have to keep moving. What the fuck is a standstill experiment? What is the point, bro? No, it's the most dumbest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, I mean, I haven't done math in a while, but this is the most basic, obvious shit, which I'm pretty sure most humans are capable of doing, adding, subtracting. Most of this is just common sense, you know. I just looking at it from just looking at it this way is obvious that Spark Staff collects more in the first place. It just does. I don't know, bro, but just some people just don't get it and they really need to see. But hopefully this video makes you see, because if it doesn't, feel free to keep believing whatever fucking bigger YouTuber says. It's not me. Go ahead. But try not to, is my point. Try to have an opinion of your own against something. And have your opinion based on actual, like, numbers, okay? Like, actual, like, factual numbers and a controlled test. His is something you can't control and his numbers are skewed. I even did the math on showing his percentage increases are wrong. I don't know how he got to that number, but if he's wrong on that, you should probably trust his math. You should not probably trust his advice if he can't even fucking do percentage increases. That's just my opinion, which is kind of a fact in the first place, but like, I don't know, I'd rather have someone that actually knows how to do math than someone that is just showing me stuff, giving me numbers, but isn't actually showing how he got those numbers. Now I understand why math teachers like ask to show your work. It's a bit bullshit sometimes, but this one, I'm gonna need to see that work, bro, that you did. I don't want to see a time lapse. I want to see how you got those numbers. But yeah, that's it for today's video. See you in the next one.